My wife Mary, dressed in sexy pajamas, entered the room again. I, who was playing a game, was stunned by the sight. I have to say, with my wife's looks and figure, especially those long legs, no matter how many times every night, I never get tired of it. I threw my phone aside and silently apologized to my teammates. Sorry guys, I'm going to let you down this time. Then, with a fierce move, I pinned my wife beneath me. After some intense foreplay, just as I was about to enter the alley, that annoying phone ringtone kept ringing endlessly. Despite my displeased gaze, she still answered the call. What? How could you be so careless? Don't move. I'm coming over right now. After saying that, she pushed me away, quickly got dressed, and said to me, Tom twisted his ankle badly. I'm going to check on him, and we'll be right back. Seeing her hurriedly putting on clothes and the anxious tone in her voice, I gasped and grabbed her hand. He twisted his ankle? Why are you calling him? Mary twisted her wrist to break free from my grip. Honey, listen to me. Tom is home alone. A boy won't take care of himself. I'll just take a quick look and come back. She said this while walking away, and then she disappeared from sight. I laughed in anger, my gaze gradually turning cold, and my breathing, which had been heavy from desire, slowly steadied. She actually called a 25-year-old adult a boy. His parents trusted him to live alone in this city, yet my wife was worried he couldn't take care of himself. If it's such a serious ankle sprain, then why not just amputate it? I'm a person who has traveled through time. The original male and female leads in the book were in a wealthy, arranged marriage. But he loved the female lead Mary very much. They had 5 years of loving days until this little assistant Tom appeared. Mary was attracted to him, repeatedly abandoning the male lead for Tom. The male lead was a coward. As a wealthy young master, he was repeatedly provoked by Tom and was helpless. In the end, he was so frustrated that he coughed up blood and died. When I traveled here, Tom hadn't appeared yet. Logically, this should be the time when we were still in love. Now, relying on my super strong skills in bed, Mary loves me so much she can't get enough. I thought there would be no mistress problem, but Tom suddenly appeared early, and just like in the book, he immediately caught Mary's attention. I only recently heard her mention that a new assistant came to the company who couldn't do anything right and was clumsy but very cute. While eating, my hand suddenly froze, and with a crisp crack, the chopsticks in my hand broke in two. Mary didn't notice and kept smiling, telling funny stories about Tom today, even laughing out loud happily. At this moment, I understood that the book setting couldn't be changed. No matter what I did, she would be attracted to Tom. Actually, the original character did very well, taking care of her meticulously. The book portrayed him as a perfect man, but what was the result? I originally planned to work hard to win her heart, but when Tom came to provoke me for the first time, I realized their relationship had progressed so fast. Of course, I gave him a lesson, thinking he would back off. Then I continued living the luxurious life of a wealthy young master in this book with my beautiful wife. Later, my thoughts changed. Since I couldn't keep her, I wouldn't try to. But helping them wasn't my style either. Tom, oh Tom, I will make sure you're crushed to dust and die miserably in a foreign land. I still remember the first time I met Tom. It was one evening after work. I was quite pleased looking at the dinner Lily had prepared. Mary should be back by now. I muttered to myself, picking up a rib and putting it in my mouth. Tastes good. Just then, the front door handle turned. Mary was back. Why are you home so late today? You made all my favorite dishes. Hurry up. Before I could finish, a man came in behind Mary. At the time, I didn't know he was Tom. I just knew there was someone I hadn't seen before. Who's this? This is my brother-in-law, right? I'm Tom, Mary's employee. Without waiting for Mary to speak, Tom introduced himself first. My car broke down today. Mary was going to give me a ride home, but when I said I was alone and it was boring, she let me come here to keep you company. Hope I'm not disturbing you. He casually changed in his slippers, his face wearing an innocent smile that made him seem very approachable. If I hadn't known what kind of person he really was, I might have been charmed by that smile. Of course you're disturbing us. Besides, we didn't prepare any food for you. I put on a stern face, not joking. Hearing this, Tom, who had just changed his shoes and was about to step inside, suddenly stopped. He looked at Mary awkwardly. Mary had already come over to me and playfully tapped me. You, always joking around. I'm not hungry tonight. You guys eat more. Then she warmly took care of the guest and sat down. After sitting, Tom showed an apologetic smile. George, your home has such a good atmosphere. I go home alone every day. It's really boring. I'm not greedy. If I could have 2 days like this a week, I'd be very satisfied. Actually, the kids outside are very... He didn't finish his sentence, sighed, and looked quite downcast. Then from now on, come to my house on weekends. We'll have fun together. Mary looked at him with sympathy. She grew up in a sheltered environment and didn't realize this was normal life. Adults going out to make their own way. Is that true, sister? Tom's eyes suddenly lit up at her words. He stood up excitedly, then paused. Maybe because I was nearby. Otherwise, it looked like he was about to give Mary a big hug. Then he turned to me. George, is that really okay? I nodded, thinking it all depended on whether you can handle a beating. Tom was unusually happy during this meal, chatting nonstop with Mary. Mary seemed to have endless things to say to him, and the two of them seemed to forget I existed. You guys eat first. I'll go check if the water's boiling. I wiped my mouth with a napkin and went into the kitchen. I knew the script. After I went into the kitchen, Tom would follow under the pretense of helping. He poured a cup of hot water, afraid of burning himself. So he added some cold water to cool it down. Then what followed was a scene where even the king himself would get slapped. Mary slapped the original owner, then took Tom to the hospital. Because the burn on his skin was a bit red, they stayed at the hospital for 2 days. Just as the script said, I went in first, and Tom followed right after. George, I'm here to help you. His voice was loud, and Mary outside heard it and smiled slightly. Tom is really sensible. I'm pouring you a glass of water to help your mom. If you don't want to get hit, get lost. I poured myself a cup of tea. He happened to hear my words very clearly. What did you say? He looked as if he doubted he had heard wrong, his face puzzled as he asked back. If you don't want to die, then get lost. I lazily lifted my eyelids, looking at him as if he were an ant. Damn, seeing me like this. He stopped pretending, grabbed a cup, poured 2/3 full of water, and then turned on the tap to get some cold water. Looks like I really underestimated you. Mary said you have a gentle personality. Today was supposed to be a warning for you, but it doesn't matter. Before he could finish, I kicked him to the ground. I picked up the kettle of boiling water and poured it directly over his head. I hope someone's killing me. Tom rolled on the ground, screaming like a slaughtered pig. Mary sensed something was wrong and hurried in. Seeing the situation, she was stunned for a moment, then shouted at me loudly. George, what are you doing? Stop it now. She didn't dare come forward because I was still holding the kettle, pouring water on Tom in rhythm with his rolling. After pouring on his face, then his body, and when the body was mostly done, I moved to his lower half. Before transmigrating here, I had seen others slaughter pigs, so I knew exactly how to pour water to make the hair fall off easily, making him suffer unbearably but not die. 10 liters of boiling water, equivalent to 2 large buckets of Fuelman soybean salad oil. I had specially bought a large kettle just for today. As the last drop of water flowed out, I shook the kettle, then looked seriously at Mary and said, What are you waiting for? Hurry up and take him to the hospital. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. You help him into the car first. I'll prepare some things and come right after. Mary seemed like her brain had crashed, nodding blankly. Oh, I'll take him to the hospital first. Then she helped Tom up. The moment her hand touched his skin, it was like being pricked by needles, so painful. Watching them stagger into the car, I smiled slightly. The real show is just beginning. Don't worry, I won't let you die so easily. Isn't it said that even the heavenly king himself would get slapped? I didn't get beaten. In the original book, Tom got a red burn mark, and she stayed with him in the hospital for 2 days. Now his skin is almost burned off. It'll take at least a month to heal. Tonight, I'll sleep well first, and tomorrow I'll go to the law firm to divide the property. After sleeping until dawn, I stretched, opened my phone, and saw dozens of missed calls and countless messages. I was too lazy to look, put it away, got up to eat, and just as I was about to leave, the police blocked the door. "We are the local police. Someone reported that you intentionally injured someone. This is such a false accusation. I just slipped for a moment. It was an accident. He's my friend. How could I?" So I truthfully told the police everything that happened last night, in detail. "You're saying you accidentally poured 10 liters of boiling water? Your hand is really slippery, huh?" "It was because it was too heavy and I couldn't control the force well, so," I seriously explained to the officer. "Hey, don't give me that. We saw the victim before coming here. His entire skin is 100% burned. Even watering flowers can't be done this well. You tell me you didn't control the force? And the injury is severe but not fatal. Your technique is impressive. Flattering. It just happened casually like that. I really didn't mean it. All right, don't act humble. Let's go with us." After that, they took me to the police car and brought me to the station. On the way, I sent Mary a message. The gist was, if I'm held responsible, then the story of Mary bringing her male lover home at night and getting burned by the male owner will get out. It's easy to say, but hard to hear. You know what impact this will have on the company's stock price, and having a criminal record will affect the child's future as well. Sure enough, it didn't take 10 minutes at the police station before Mary came with Tom's letter of forgiveness. With the letter of forgiveness and my good attitude and willingness to compensate, I even ate lunch outside. Seeing me eat as if nothing had happened, Mary, who had been holding back all morning, finally couldn't stand it anymore. "Why are you doing this to Tom? He provoked me first. He splashed water on himself to frame me, tried to drive a wedge between you and me, and wanted the mistress to take my place." Mary looked utterly incredulous. "Do you really think I believe such ridiculous nonsense? If you don't believe it, then there's no need to ask me. I'm just stating the facts. I don't care about a woman who's biased." I put down my chopsticks and took out the prepared divorce agreement from my bag. "Mary, let's get a divorce." I handed her the agreement, but she didn't take it. Instead, she looked at me with disbelief. "George, what do you mean by this?" "I mean that after the divorce, you can openly be in love with your little assistant. I'm giving you my blessing. The real reason I disfigured him with boiling water was that even if we divorced, I wouldn't let them have it easy. Maybe Mary would feel guilty later and take care of him, but with scars all over his body and face, no one would feel any affection. I have no hobby of playing matchmaker." "George, what nonsense are you talking about? He's just a kid. I felt sorry for him being alone out there, and since he's a bit clumsy, I just took care of him more. We have nothing going on." Her voice suddenly rose, as if that made her completely justified. "Oomph," I sneered. "Do you really believe what you're saying? You say he's a kid, but he's only 2 years younger than us. When I was his age, I was already traveling nationwide and worldwide for business. Weren't you quite comfortable at home? You say he's especially clumsy and can't do anything right without your help, but how do you treat others who are less capable? You fire them without hesitation. You're a very capable and intelligent businesswoman. Can't you see what he's after with you?" After I said that, her earlier confidence immediately deflated. She stared tightly into my eyes, but then looked away guiltily, fidgeting nervously. In all these years of marriage, it was the first time I saw her like this. After a while, she slowly said, "Honey, it's not what you think. I just helped him a bit more, but we really have nothing." I was full and stood up. "Then think it over carefully." With that, I left the restaurant. Mary watched my departing back, tears streaming down her face. She always felt that I was different from before. When we first met, she thought George was perfect except for being too serious and lacking fun. But that was fine for her. A few years ago, he suddenly changed, becoming slick-talking, very generous, and especially satisfying in bed. She started falling deeper and deeper in love, but Tom's appearance instantly attracted her. Although he was average, she just couldn't bear to reject him. So she had no way to refute what George just said. Why did it come to this? She cried, tearing the agreement into pieces, feeling like something was slipping out of her control. "No, I'll send Tom away immediately. I can't betray my husband. So she hurriedly drove to the hospital just as the nurse was pushing Tom out of the emergency room. Looking at Tom, wrapped up like a zongzi all over his body, the words he had planned to say on the way just wouldn't come out. At that moment, Tom also saw Mary, and his eyes instantly reddened, tears streaming uncontrollably. Miss Mary, I'm still in pain. Your husband caused me to be like this. You won't abandon me, right? Don't worry, little Tom. Mary took the cart from the nurse. I'll stay with you during this time. That companionship lasted 5 weeks. Tom had severe burns, but no infection, so he could be discharged after 5 weeks. Although Mary had the hospital find the best medicine for recovery, the scars on his face and body were still quite shocking. In the height of summer, he wore long sleeves, gloves, a hat, glasses, and a mask. Just as he stepped out of the hospital doors, and before he could get into the car, a few young kids thought he was a celebrity and surrounded him for autographs. But when they got close and saw the scars all over his face, they all ran away in fright. Tom's tears immediately fell again. Being someone who looked neither fully human nor ghostly, he was truly fed up. Originally, he wanted George to rot in jail, but Mary insisted on having him sign a letter of forgiveness that day, despite needing urgent care herself. She promised to do everything possible to restore him to his original state and to give him compensation that would last a lifetime. Seeing Mary's relentless determination, he reluctantly agreed. Otherwise, with their family strength, hiring a good lawyer in court and claiming he trespassed would not be impossible. The car drove straight to my house. When they opened the door and saw I was home, both of them looked a bit awkward. Honey, don't overthink it. He just got discharged and isn't very mobile yet. I brought him home to take care of him for a few days. We have plenty of help anyway, Mary said as she walked toward me, wearing a pleading smile, knowing she hadn't been home for nearly half a month and sounding a bit guilty. I dodged her attempt to link arms with me and looked at Tom with a hostile gaze. You want to stay here too, huh? Hearing the slight hostility in my tone, he got nervous. I just got discharged. It's still a bit inconvenient. Hearing that, I said nothing more and turned to walk to the kitchen. Honey, where are you going? I'm going to see if the water's boiling. Well, I just suddenly remembered the faucet at home wasn't turned off, so I'll just go back first. Tom hadn't finished speaking before he was already outside the door. I came out of the kitchen. Who said he wasn't mobile? Damn, he ran pretty fast. Mary wanted to chase after him, but looked at me and stopped. Honey, how many times have I told you? There's really nothing going on. Why can't you understand me? Mary looked exhausted, but I didn't feel any sympathy. This was originally to take care of someone else. My wife, taking care of others and not coming home. And you want me to understand? Sorry, I just can't. With that, I turned and went into the guest room. Mary collapsed on the sofa, holding her head. She really couldn't understand why, when she hadn't done anything, things turned out like this. George had changed. Although his personality was more lively than before, he was also more domineering. Still, she preferred the current George. Sure enough, a simp ends up with nothing, and people say he's dull and lacks charm. Since that day, Mary started coming home earlier and learned to cook from Lily. At night, she would walk around in front of me wearing various sexy nightgowns, so blatantly seducing me, and yet I was no better. Of all the 36 stratagems, I'm most vulnerable to the beauty trap. On the third day, I finally gave in. No wonder people say heroes find it hard to resist beautiful women, and besides, I'm not even a hero. After making up a few excuses for myself, I was taken down again. In the following days, it felt like we had gone back to the way things were before. She came home early every day and cooked for me personally. Although it wasn't quite as good as Lily's cooking, it was still pretty good. After dinner, she would drag me to take a shower, then we'd start making babies. She said she wanted to have a child for me. Life was pretty lively and colorful. Unfortunately, the good times didn't last long. This kind of life lasted about half a month. Then she started working overtime frequently at night. She would eat out and come home late, always looking exhausted. Sometimes even if she came home early, she'd take a call and claim there was something urgent at work and go out again. Being familiar with the plot, I knew exactly what she was up to. So I took out my phone and checked moments. Sure enough, Tom had posted a set of photos of Mary cooking while wearing an apron. The caption read, "Told my sister I hadn't eaten and wanted to order takeout, but she refused and came back to cook for me herself. I'm so lucky." Looking at my phone, I fell into thought. When did I add Tom as a friend? I don't remember doing that. Could it be because the story needed it? Now, seeing such a post, I felt no ripple in my heart. Anyway, this time there was no way to get mad. When Mary came back, I casually asked, "Where did you go just now?" "Company. You smell like fried shrimp." Before she could lie, I said it first. Upon hearing this, a flash of panic quickly crossed her face. A colleague at the company ordered some fried shrimp and shared a few with me. "Honey, your nose is really sharp." I smiled and then told her to go take a shower. By now, I didn't trust her at all. The next few days were the same. Even when she came home, Mary would be called away by a phone call. With my God's eye view, I knew exactly where she was going. Mary's little schemes were as transparent as glass to me. Those days, she was a bit more obedient, coming home early from work, wearing those sheer, see-through nightgowns, swaying in front of me with deliberately flattering eyes. Since that was the case, and the property division wasn't settled yet, I played along. With that face and body, it was top-notch original equipment. Why waste it? She was happy to serve. I was happy to enjoy. Everyone got what they wanted, and the surface act was flawless. That night, the atmosphere was just right. She had just finished showering, her hair wet, cheeks flushed, wearing a silk camisole nightgown that revealed every curve. I grabbed my phone, pinned her beneath me. The foreplay was thorough. The arrow was on a string, just waiting for the final push. Then her damn phone suddenly rang, vibrating wildly on the bedside table, the screen glaring brightly. I turned my head and saw the familiar name, Tom. Mary visibly stiffened, but the next second, she almost instinctively reached for the phone. I watched her beneath me, still catching her breath, but her eyes had already drifted to the caller ID. "Hello, little Tom. What's up?" Her voice was husky from passion, but more so nervous. After hearing something on the other end, Mary's expression changed. "What? You twisted your ankle? Is it serious?" "Don't move. Don't move at all. I'm coming right away." Damn, I cursed under my breath. The fire I had just lit was doused to smoke by this cold water. Mary quickly pushed me away, got off the bed, grabbed the clothes scattered on the floor, and started putting them on, speaking rapidly. "Honey, I'm sorry. Tom twisted his ankle, and it's really bad. He can't move. He's home alone. I have to go check on him right away. I'll be back soon." The urgency in her voice made it sound like it wasn't a 25-year-old grown man with all his limbs who had twisted his ankle, but her 3-year-old son who had fallen into a well. I gasped for breath and sat up, watching her fumble with the buttons, the last bit of lingering desire in me completely replaced by cold anger. I reached out and grabbed her slender wrist firmly. "He twisted his ankle? Didn't call an ambulance? Had to call you? Who are you to him?" Mary winced in pain, frowned, twisted hard, and broke free from my grip. She didn't even look back at me, rushing toward the door and tossing out a sentence like she was dismissing a misbehaving child. "Husband, be good. Tom is still a kid. It's not easy for him alone out there. He doesn't know how to take care of himself. I'm just going to check on him, make sure he's okay. Then I'll be back. Very soon." Bang. The door slammed shut forcefully, footsteps quickly fading down the hallway. The room was instantly filled only with my heavy breathing and the lingering scent of intimacy in the air. I stared at the tightly closed door, my gaze growing colder by the second, my chest still heaving violently from desire. A kid? A 25-year-old big baby? His parents could comfortably leave him to fend for himself in this city. Yet my good wife worries he can't handle a twisted ankle on his own. Fine. If this ankle is really that bad, I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a cold, emotionless smile, and whispered into the air. Then just get rid of that foot. Amputate it. The next day, I drove straight to the city hospital. The Venus family holds a significant stake here, so I had some influence. Sure enough, Tom was placed by Mary in the top-floor VIP ward. For just a simple twisted ankle, they assigned an expert and several nurses to examine him. Seeing this, I calmly went straight to the director's office. The director was Dr. Parker. He was very polite when he saw me and quickly stood up. "Mr. George, what brings you here today?" I didn't bother with small talk and sat down opposite his leather chair, tapping my fingers on the desk. "Dr. Parker, that Tom in the VIP ward, right ankle sprain?" Yes, mister. "George, rest assured, Miss Mary instructed us to send the best expert in the hospital, sparing no expense, using the best treatment plan." I raised my hand to interrupt him. "So that's how Mary instructed them, knowing it was a sprain, but anyone else would think it was terminal cancer." I spoke calmly. "The medicine is good, but I think this treatment plan is too conservative." Dr. Parker was stunned. "Conservative? What do you mean, Mr. George?" "His injury," I said slowly. "Like an expert, I've seen the scans. The situation is more complicated than expected. Severe soft tissue damage, vascular and nerve compression, peripheral nerve necrosis. The longer it goes untreated, the worse it gets. Mild cases cause tiptoeing. Severe cases lead to femoral head necrosis. In a late stage, it's a vegetative state." Hearing my description, the director broke out in a sweat. Is it really that serious?" I nodded. The director asked again, "So what should we do next?" Looking at the long term, I thought for a moment, amputation is the way to go. Amputate from the root of the thigh. Amputation. Dr. Parker's face went pale, cold sweat instantly breaking out. "Mr. George, I personally reviewed the diagnosis report. It's just a simple sprain, no bone fractures. This amputation, it's completely unnecessary. The risks are too high." "Risks?" I looked up and gave him a cold glance, a look that choked off everything he was about to say. "Dr. Parker, you're the professional here. The real risk is if the treatment is mishandled, leading to spreading infection or permanent functional impairment. Right? Our venous family invested in this hospital to heal and save lives. Keeping a risky limb just to occasionally sprain it isn't worth it. That's settled then. You'll prepare the report. He's here alone, without his parents around, so handle it with confidence." After saying that, I stood up and walked out of the director's office. Dr. Parker watched my back, his eyes growing resolute. He understood this wasn't a discussion, but an order. He knew the power of the Venus family too well, and he couldn't afford the consequences of refusal. A few hours later, in Tom's luxury ward, a group of doctors in white coats entered solemnly, led by the experts personally arranged by Dr. Parker. Tom was lying there playing on his phone, startled by the sudden commotion. "Mr. Tom," the expert spoke gravely, with a professional urgency. "After our emergency consultation this morning and the latest precise imaging exams, we found that the injury to your right ankle is far more complex and dangerous than it appears on the surface." Tom was confused. He knew his foot's condition well enough. It was just a sprain, nothing serious, and he didn't even feel pain anymore. What do you mean? It's just a sprain, right?" "No," the expert said firmly. "We found severe vascular thrombosis locally and irreversible nerve compression. Blood supply to the foot is already compromised. More seriously, we strongly suspect early signs of hidden osteomyelitis. If the infection spreads, the consequences are unimaginable. At best, necrosis of the entire lower limb. At worst, life-threatening." Tom's face instantly went pale. "In no way. It's fine. There's no swelling, and I don't feel any pain now." "Are you sure you're not mistaken? You don't feel any pain anymore?" The expert looked surprised. "That means it's progressing rapidly. Someone, prepare the patient for surgery immediately. Sign here first." The nurse handed him a paper and pen, her expression serious. Tom was scared and signed unconsciously, then was pushed into the operating room. When Tom regained consciousness, he was jolted awake by a tearing, bone-deep pain. He opened his eyes abruptly, dazed for a few seconds, then instinctively reached out to touch his right leg. His fingers swept through empty air. There was nothing there. A terrible premonition swept over him. Trembling, He summoned all his strength and threw off the thin blanket covering him. His entire right leg below the abdomen was gone. "Ah, my leg. Where's my leg? My leg. Give me back my leg." The ward echoed with his pig-like screams. He cried and shouted in despair all afternoon until he was utterly exhausted and fainted. That night, Mary dragged her exhausted body home after staying overnight at the hospital. She had been busy all day at the company, and when she got home to find me as usual, having already eaten, she breathed a sigh of relief. Then she took out her phone and called Tom to check on his recovery. She had called a few times that afternoon, but Tom hadn't answered. This time Tom picked up, but after just a few words, Mary's face grew increasingly grim. After hanging up, she looked at me leisurely sitting on the living room sofa drinking tea, then exploded. "George, was it you?" She rushed up to me, her eyes bloodshot, her voice shrill and breaking. "Tom's leg. How could it be gone?" The doctor said it was a sudden severe infection requiring emergency amputation. "But yesterday it was just a sprain." "You're clearly fine, it's you." "It has to be you causing trouble. You devil." I put down the teacup, looked up, and calmly watched her hysterical outburst, my face not showing a single ripple of emotion. "You know, it's just a twisted ankle. Nothing serious." I leisurely took out my phone, unlocked it, tapped on that familiar green icon, swiped a few times, then turned the screen toward her, almost pressing it right in front of her eyes. On the screen was a WeChat Moments post Tom sent last night. "Accidentally twisted my ankle. It hurts so much," with a crying emoji. Luckily, the CEO's sister came to take care of me immediately. With her here, I'm not afraid of anything. Heart emoji. Below was a picture. Mary sitting sideways on his bedside, head bowed, focused on applying medicine to him. The lighting was ambiguous, the angle tricky. Mary's gaze was fixed on the screen, staring at the suggestive words and the picture. All her confidence just now instantly collapsed, shattered into dust. Her face suddenly turned as pale as paper, her lips trembling, her body shaking violently. If she hadn't been holding onto the sofa back, she would have almost collapsed to the floor. Husband, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Last night, I was confused for a moment. He was crying so badly, saying he couldn't move, and I was afraid something would happen. Actually, I don't even know what's going on. I clearly love you, but when faced with his demands, I just couldn't bring myself to refuse." She cried sorrowfully, and her words didn't seem fake. Actually, I understood her mindset. Maybe, as she said, she loves me now, but because of the book's setup, even though Tom is neither fully human nor ghost now, she can't refuse him. I lowered my head, looking at her face that once made me infatuated, now blurred with tears. I slowly bent down, and one finger at a time, pried open her hand that was gripping my trouser leg tightly. The movement was cold, resolute, without a trace of reluctance. Then, I straightened up, walked to the coffee table, opened the drawer, and took out the divorce agreement I had prepared long ago, lying quietly inside, along with a pen. "Sign it." I threw the agreement and pen onto the carpet in front of her, my voice flat and steady. "Mary, this is your last chance. Sign it, and this paper won't take effect for now. We will still be married in name." I paused, looking down at her face that instantly stiffened. "But remember, this is your last get-out-of-jail-free card. If you lie to me again for him, or meet him behind my back even once more," I bent down, leaned close to her tear-soaked, terrified face, lowering my voice to a whisper. "Then this agreement takes effect immediately. You walk away with nothing. Everything in the Venus family, including our joint property, will have nothing to do with you anymore." I wasn't greedy, just protecting myself and the joint assets accumulated over these years. Although she managed the Mary family's company, the shares weren't hers. Mary was frightened by my cold gaze. She had never seen me like this before. The overwhelming fear made her forget sadness and pleading. She knew I wasn't bluffing. The George who once obeyed her every whim, gentle as jade, was completely gone. The man before her was one who meant what he said, with eyes full of ruthlessness. She had no doubt that if she dared to cross the line again, he would make her pay. Panicked, she grabbed the pen and signed her name on the agreement's signature line, shaky but forceful. I signed, husband. I promise I'll never do it again, never again. That's exactly what she was thinking. She was determined never to have anything to do with Tom again, but she had made that decision many times before. I also knew she was different from me. She couldn't escape this fate unless Tom died. I bent down, expressionless, took the signed agreement, looked it over carefully to confirm it was correct, then turned and went straight upstairs. After Mary signed the probation agreement, she behaved for a few days. Those few days, that was what I expected. Every time I hit her, she'd be good for a while. She still cooked, made soup, and paraded around in sexy pajamas in front of me, trying to rekindle something with her body and submission. Unfortunately, I couldn't muster any interest in a distracted shell. After a few perfunctory attempts, I didn't even bother with the pretense anymore. As I predicted, this state didn't last long. A dog can't stop eating shit, and Mary couldn't change Tom's overflowing martyr complex. Until tonight, she came back with red eyes, clutching a piece of paper tightly, looking like the sky was falling. Husband, she leaned against me with a heavy nasal tone. What's wrong? She handed me the paper. Tom has bone cancer. The doctor said he doesn't have many days left. I took the so-called diagnosis report. It looked pretty convincing. This time she was smart enough to get a certificate from another hospital. Oh, I raised an eyebrow, my tone flat. So what do you mean? Seeing my cold reaction, Mary got anxious. But husband, the doctor said it's already spread and can't be cured. His last wish is to see the aurora abroad. He said it's the biggest dream of his life. As she spoke, tears welled up again, full of self-pity. He's so pitiful, all alone, no family or friends, first disfigured, and now missing a leg. So, I cut her off, not wanting to be morally blackmailed further, looking at her with a grim face. You want to go with him? Mary was caught off guard by my stare, her eyes flickering, voice dropping. I just want to help him fulfill this last wish, just to see him off, okay? I promise. Just this once. I'll accompany him to see the aurora, see him through his last journey. Then I'll cut all ties with him completely. I swear, from now on, my heart belongs only to you, only to our family. She raised her hand, swearing solemnly, as if about to undertake a sacred mission. I watched her performance with no emotion, even a bit amused. See him off on his last journey? Fine, I'll help you send him off and make it more thorough. Oh, really? I twisted the corner of my mouth into a cold smile. How long will it take? About half a month? At most 20 days. I promise I'll be back soon. Seeing I seemed to relent, she hurried to say, Fine. I nodded. Then go. Mary felt like she'd been pardoned, not even noticing my expression. The next day, dragging her suitcase and taking Tom, she flew abroad. She left, and I immediately called the lawyer. Start the process. Use the fastest speed possible. In the days that followed, all I had to do was wait. When the divorce certificate came through, I quietly arrived in their country with a few trusted aides. This country not only has beautiful auroras, but also the world's most advanced legalized euthanasia system. I was fully aware of every move Mary and Tom made. I temporarily distracted Mary by some means, and my people appeared in front of Tom at the same time. They were dressed impeccably, professional and aloof, carrying an air of compassionate pity, claiming to be officers of the International Dignified End-of-Life Organization. Mr. Tom, the middle-aged man in charge, handed over a business card. We have received your euthanasia application submitted through special channels, along with your detailed medical report of advanced bone cancer with full-body metastasis. After rigorous evaluation by our independent medical team, and your signed multiple voluntary declarations and cooling-off period confirmations, your application has been finally approved. Tom was stunned. Of course he was. He didn't have advanced bone cancer. He never submitted a euthanasia application. Instinctively, he wanted to deny it. No, I didn't. You are, Mr. Tom. The man interrupted calmly, taking out a tablet that displayed an extremely realistic forged medical record of him. There were also several voluntary application forms and cooling-off period confirmations with signatures and handwriting very similar to his. Based on your current physical condition, irreversible severe pain, complete mobility restriction, and the immense mental and physical suffering caused by the diagnosed advanced malignant disease, we fully understand and respect your wish to end your life with dignity, which is in accordance with the law here. His words carried a powerful psychological suggestion and an unchallengeable professionalism. Looking at the documents on the tablet, Tom suddenly understood. It was all George. George had forged the medical records and dug a grave for him. He wanted to scream, to run away, but his amputated body couldn't even stand up. No, I don't need this. I'm not sick. It's fake. Let me go. Mary, save me. He panicked and tried to escape, but it was all in vain. Mr. Tom, we understand your emotional turmoil right now. This is normal. Another person in a white coat, looking like a doctor, spoke in a soothing yet authoritative tone. We see your suffering. Please trust us. This is the most dignified and painless way out. After you sign the documents, we will inject a mild sedative so you can leave peacefully in your sleep without any pain. He gestured, and a woman dressed as a nurse stepped forward carrying a tray with a syringe and a small bottle of clear liquid. No, get away. I won't sign. Help! Tom wildly flailed his arms, trying to knock over the tray. The patient is overly agitated and may harm himself and affect the dignity of the process, the middle-aged man calmly instructed. Please help Mr. Tom stabilize his emotions and complete the final signature confirmation process. Two tall, well-trained caregivers immediately stepped forward, firmly holding Tom's struggling body and arms on either side. His curses and screams were muffled, leaving only desperate whimpers. The doctor picked up the syringe and skillfully drew the liquid. Watching the cold needle approach his arm, Tom's pupils dilated with extreme fear. He finally fully understood George's cruelty. Not only did he want to ruin him and cripple him, but he also wanted him to voluntarily die, not even giving him a last chance to struggle or protest. By the time Mary finished handling those matters and rushed back, Tom was no longer in the room. The room only contained an urn, the euthanasia agreement signed by Tom, a tablet playing all the evidence of Tom's deceit against her, and a brand new divorce certificate. After returning to my country, my world became peaceful. The George Group is now completely under my control, operating smoothly. The house that was once filled with Mary's presence has been thoroughly cleared out, disinfected, and redecorated, leaving no trace of her existence. Mary returned holding Tom's urn and the divorce papers. She was penniless, shunned and cast out by Mary's family as a disgrace, her reputation ruined, becoming a laughingstock in the circle. She went mad, trying every possible way to contact me. She called me from unfamiliar numbers, and once connected, all I heard were heart-wrenching cries and confessions. She had lost everything, couldn't even catch a glimpse of me, while my future would only get better and better.